Okay, welcome back, grade 11s. So I will continue with the KZN November 2023 paper for grade 11s. So we'll do question 6. Question 6, again, is a question of functions. In this question, you have been given the information. The sketch below shows the graph of f of x and then g of x. And then the value of, b and a and b are the intercepts of f, d is the turning point, and c is the y-intercept of both graphs, right? Graphs f and g intersect at point b and c, right? So you're given all those information, you are told those things so that you don't make assumptions, because other people, they make assumption that, you know, point D is a turning point if they were not told, because point D can be just, it can look like a turning point but not a turning point unless you are told or given. In this case, they've made life easier. They said D is the turning point. Okay, now we know that we have a parabola and a linear graph, right? Now the first question says that, you know, calculate the length of AB, right? The length of AB from here all the way to this point. What is the length? What does it mean? It means we can get the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B, because from here to here we need to know what is that value, and then from here to here we need to know what is that value. Then we can add them up to find the length of AB. Okay, now let's go on and do exactly as we have said, right? Now we'll go to our equation. Our equation says that it is okay, I'll write it here. Y is equal to 1 over 2 into x minus 2 squared minus 8. So we're looking for the value of A and B. The value of A and B are what? They are your x-intercept of f, as we are told right here. How do we find the x-intercept? Is when y is equal to 0. So in our equation, we're going to say y is equal to 0. Right? So 0 is equal to 1 over 2 x squared minus 8. Okay. Now what? Now we simplify. So remember, when you simplify, you start with what's inside the brackets. Remember, BODMAS, brackets first. So you keep the bracket and then you remove the brackets and say x squared minus 2x, which is 4x. I'm sure this is something you've all done. And then this is minus 4x. And then plus 4 minus 8. Then from there, again, you focus on the brackets. It will be 1 over 2x squared minus 4x times half, which will be 2x plus 2 minus 8. Therefore, that is 1 over 2x squared minus x minus 2x minus 6. Okay, then from there, what you need to do is to factorize this. But remember, because your coefficient of x squared is still half, you can multiply every variable by 2. So you multiply by 2 each side. If you multiply by 2 on the left side, 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times half is 1. So here you will have x squared. 2 times minus 2x, you will get 4x. 2 times minus 6, you'll get minus 12. Okay, now from there, you basically have to factorize this. And for you, in order to factorize that, you say 0 is equal to, in bracket x. Okay, one thing, I don't know if you were taught this way, but one thing you need to look at here is that you have a minus here, you have a minus as well there. Okay, so when you have a minus here inside the brackets, you are now going to have a plus and a minus. It's guaranteed you're going to have a plus and a minus. Now you go on and look for factors of 12. You know, factors of 12 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. And what are the multiples of 12? So that is 1 times 12, that is 2 times 6, that is 3 times 4, that is 4 times 3. So we're repeating ourselves here, right? Now you look at these multiples. Which ones, when you add them up, they give you negative 4? Negative 4 being the middle term. Which one gives you negative 4? It means here it's 2 and 6. So it means here we're going to put 6. Here we're going to put 2, because minus 6 plus 2 gives us negative 4. Therefore, x is equal to minus 2 and or x is equal to 6. Therefore, this value here, b is what? 6, because it's on the positive side, and a is what? Negative 2, because it's on the negative side. Okay, mind you, you were not asked to find the coordinates, but you calculate the coordinates in order for you to answer the question. Now, what is the length of AB? From here to the origin is 2 units. From origin to B is 6 units. Therefore, what is the coordinates? The length of AB is 2 plus 6. Therefore, it's 8 units. You must write that is 8 units. They said length. A length is measured in units. We are not told whether it's centimeters or meters, but we should write that it's 8 units. Okay. Now let's move on. Write down the coordinates of D. D, we were told that D is a what? It's a turning point. So how do we calculate the coordinates of D? We know how to get the x coordinates, or the x value of the turning point, by using a formula. X is equal to minus b over 2a. So which formula are we going to use? We have already worked ourselves a lot here by simplifying that equation. So we're going to use this one here and see what is our value of b. Value of b is 4, so minus 4, so it's minus 4. What is the value of a? 2 into 1, minus 4 here and then 1. Therefore, what is the value of x? It's simply 2 plus 2. Now you're going to say this x is equal to 2. You're now going to substitute x is equal to 2 into your original equation here in order to calculate the value of y. So you'll then substitute. Again, I'm running out of space. You'll then again now substitute and say y is equal to half. Where there's x, you put 2 minus 2 all squared minus 8. Therefore, this is 0, 1 over 2 into 0 minus 8. Therefore, y is equal to minus 8. Then what are the coordinates of D? Coordinates of D is 2 and -8. Okay, simple. Now write down the range of f. Okay, the range is written by looking from the minimum value to the maximum value. F, what is the range of f? The range of f will then be that it will start right here at this point, at the point of D, going all the way up. Remember, range is a set of y values, right? So all the way to the positive y values. Okay, if that's the case, then what is the range then? So we'll then say our range is when y must be greater than, right? Our y must be greater than, it should be greater than negative 8, because that is where our minimum value of y is, right? So y should be greater than, in fact we should say greater than or equal to -8. So any value above -8 is where our f of x is. So y is greater than or equal to -8. Others, they like to say, okay, then you say y element of real number. Or you can write or represent it by say y element of, starting from the minimum value. Minimum value is -8. Square bracket means inclusive. -8 into positive infinity. Curved brackets. Because it's starting from here all the way to the positive side. Easy, right? Again, my paper is looking very, very clustered. Running out of space. Now what I can do is that, okay, the next question says calculate the average gradient between A and C. So where am I going to write this? Okay, gradient between A and C. So remember, okay, what is the coordinates of A? The coordinates of A is -2 and 0. What is the coordinates of C? Coordinates of C is the y-intercept, which is 0 and it will be 0 and it should be 0 and, okay, we'll go up to our equation. It should be 0 and -6, right? Yes, -6. So it should be 0 and -6, all that -6 there. So this is -6. So what is the gradient? So this question is very easy, because what you need to do now, you just come and say your gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You pick either A or C as your first value. So you pick C as your second value. You say -6 -6 so it will be a -6 minus 0, and then it will be 0 minus -2. Therefore, what is the answer? The answer will be a -3. So the answer will then be -3. So that will be your gradient. Again, I'm running out of space. For which values of k will this have 2 positive roots? Okay, this is also one of the questions that a lot of people get confused about, but it's also one of the easiest question that you can ever think of as well. So let's see if I can find space or make space to explain this, or rather maybe let me go up since we've read the question, let me go up to where the function is. So, right, for which values of k will our expression minus k is equal to 0 have two positive roots, right? When we look at our f of x, it has two roots, but they are not two positive roots. Roots being the b and the a. So it has a positive root and a negative root. So what should be the value of k in order for this function or parabola to have a two positive root? So what we will do, what we look at the turning point value, the y values, turning point value, which is negative 8, and the y-intercept, which is negative 6. So if we shift this graph 6 units up, it's going to come and sit here. Maybe let me use orange. It's going to come and sit at the origin. And this value, it's going to come and sit at the negative 2. So our graph is now going to look like something like this. Right? So it's going to look like something like that. Now we have a positive root and a 0 root. So it means we can shift this graph up further. But if we shift this graph, 2 units more up. Remember, this is a negative 2. If we shift it 2 units more up, it's going to sit here. This is going to sit at 2. And then you're going to have a graph like this. Right? So now when you're going to have a graph like this, what then now happens? You now have one root, positive root. So what it means is that my graph should only be shifted. Remember, the orange one, we have shifted the graph 6 units up. The blue one, we've shifted the graph 8 units up. So it means for us to fall, or for us to have two positive roots, our graph should be somewhere between the blue and the orange, which is here, because we'll have a positive and a positive. But how should we shift our graph? It means we should not shift our graph more than 8 units up, and we should shift our graph more than 6 units up. So we should play around between 6 and 8. In essence, what I'm trying to say is that my graph should be shifted. Don't know where I'm going to write this. So my graph should be shifted. Yes, I'll write it here. So my graph should be shifted, between 6 and 8. Should be shifted more than 6 units up, but less than 8 units up. Right? That's what we are saying. But what will be the value of k? We were told that the k here, the k that we're looking for there, it's actually negative k. So we are going to take that negative k and plug it here. So we say our negative k should be greater than 6 but less than 8. We should shift our graph more than 6 units up, but not more than 8 units up, right? It should be between 6 and 8. However, because we're looking for a k value, here we have a negative k, so it means we'll divide here by negative, divide this side by negative, divide this side by negative. So when we divide each side by negative, the rules of inequality, they tell us that when you divide the negative, your sign changes. So you're going to have k should be greater than negative 8 and k less than negative 6. But however, mathematically, we're not allowed to write it in this form. We will just have to reverse it like this and say k is greater than negative 8, but k less than negative 6. So those are our units. Okay. Now, the 6.6, it says use the graphs to determine the values of x for which f of x is greater than 0. This is my favorite questions. F of x greater than 0. What are the values of x for your graph to be greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0? For which graph? For your graph to be greater than or equal to 0. Oh, I'm running out of space. Okay. For your graph to be greater than or equal to 0, what then does it mean? It means your graph should be above x-axis. You know, where, for which values of x, in fact, they are actually saying that for which values of x is your graph above x-axis. Now, if we follow our f of x graph, which is this one here, where is it, for which values of x is this graph above x-axis? I've explained this concept many times, and I think in this video I might not be explaining it better than I actually explained before. But for which values of x is this graph above x-axis? Remember, for this type of questions, you're always going to use, listen to this one carefully, you're always going to use the x, your roots, as your triggering point. So this thing is looking so much clustered now. You're going to use this as your triggering point. I'll draw two vertical lines there. So your graph is greater than x-axis at point A, anything to the left of point A. This is where your graph is positive. But as soon as your graph passes A going to the right, it is on the negative. It is on the negative side, or is below x-axis. So my graph, it's greater than or equal to 0 anywhere going to this side, right? Because you can see that there is your graph. So what does it mean? It's when x is less than or equal to -2, because that point is -2. And also my graph is greater than or equal to 0, or rather my graph is above x-axis anywhere at this point going to this side, because you can see that your graph is above x-axis. What is that point? So it means O, when x is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so I think I will stop it here because this is looking very much messy right now. Yeah, I'll explain the other concept in the classroom, but I hope it makes sense.